everybody, so I'm going to be doing a how to care for your AG doll video, just generally, like, not just their hair, but, the whole doll itself, most likely herself. So I have my little book that I wrote everything down and that I'm going to talk about. I'm sorry if this is going to be another really long video and my voice might still sound weird because it's still allergy season. First and foremost, you are always going to want to use a wire wig brush, which just basically means that the brush has wire bristles instead of the plastic bristles. This is better for their hair. I have never used a plastic bristle brush because I've always had this since day one, and this brush is like, how many years old? 5.5, and I still have it, and it's not broken, but it's, it looks pretty bad because it's the paint's chipped like everywhere. But back to the plastic bristle brush, I've never used one for a long period of time, so I don't know what it actually does to the doll's hair, but I've heard from other people that it kind of damages it over time. So if you can find a cheap wire wig brush from Amazon or eBay, that's not, what is it, at American Girl now, like $8, that's a little much, but this is kind of a no-brainer, but I feel like I have to tell you anyways. Don't use a brush on your doll that you've used on your own hair, because the oils, we have oils in our hair. They do not. They do not need the oils in their hair. It will make their hair greasy, and I think it'll make it drier over time. Not for sure, but it will damage their hair. I showed you this in the how to care for all types of hair. If you want to start brushing their hair from the bottom and work your way to the top. If you know your doll's hair is not snarly, like myself, when you're doing your doll's hair, you can start at the top. But again, if you come across a snarl, roll the brush out of their hair and work out the snarls. You can use water to help with this. I don't usually use water on my dolls with straight hair, unless if it's for some reason staticky, then I'll use a little bit of water. But I just have this spray bottle from Target. It says Up and Up on it. Up and Up, which is Target. I think this is in like the travel size area, like all the travel size soaps and stuff, but it just, I'm not going to actually spray it, but it mists water. And you can use that to help you brush your doll's hair if it is super snarly. So back to brushing from the bottom and working your way to the top. If you start at the top and you work your way down, it will sometimes cause all of the snarls in her hair to go down to the bottom, so then you'll have a bunch of snarls at the bottom and you'll just need to work those out. But like I said, start working at the bottom and work your way up. That's the best way. And if you're starting at the top, don't just pull through the snarls, because that is a no-no. And like I showed you in the how to care for your doll all types of hair video, I showed you Cassie's hair, which is my custom 38, and how her hair, some of the pieces of hair are like crimped and stuff. That's what will happen if you keep pulling through the snarls, and eventually your doll's hair will not be as shiny or soft. Okay, on to the next thing, which is washing your doll's hair. I would only wash their hair if it needs it. So literally if she gets nasty food in her hair, or she falls in a dirt puddle or mud, then you can. When you wash their hair, you want to use a mild soap, so baby shampoo would work perfectly. Herbal Essences is a nice mild soap. I've used Garner Fructis before. That's a good one, because all of the doll's hair that I've washed with that is perfectly fine still. And when you're washing their hair, You want to cover their eyes with, you know, a towel, or you can tape cotton balls over their eyes. And then depending on how long your doll's hair is, you want to put it in a ponytail or pigtails. So if you're doing like Kit, for example, I don't know that you can wash her hair because it's so short. And also you want to try to avoid getting, you know, their scalp wet. So yeah, just the wig, just like the top part of her head. Because if you use, you're not supposed to use scalding hot water, but if you accidentally do, it will loosen the wig glue somewhat. Not like drastically, because I have gotten their whole wig wet basically, and you know, they're fine, but just don't do it multiple times, otherwise it will come off. Deep conditioning, if you don't know what that is, I have a video on that, and it's kind of old. Deep conditioning is you just, you know, run conditioner through their hair, and then you rinse it out, and then you fill your sink with water, and you put more conditioner in the water, and then you just let their hair soak in the water with the conditioner in it for, you know, like 10 minutes. That helps get rid of some of the frizziness and not all of it. You're not going to be able to get rid of all of it by doing deep conditioning, but it does help some of it. When you are doing deep conditioning, you want to make sure to rinse her hair out thoroughly, because if you leave conditioner in their hair, it'll end up being like greasy and kind of gross. And also, if you leave conditioner in her hair, it'll, you know, attract more dirt and make it dirty a lot faster. So shampoo makes her hair clean. I did McKenna's because my cousin got milk in her hair, so I didn't want her to smell like sour milk. It's kind of disgusting. So that would be a reason to wash your doll's hair. And again, the conditioner just makes it soft. Next, we'll kind of talk about frizzy doll hair. So if you have a doll that has, like, you know, severe frizzy hair, you know, or it's not shiny, it's not soft, and when you look at it, it just looks disgusting. The only way that I personally know how to fix that is to straighten their hair. But if you don't want to do that, you know, there's always the option of the hospital. But if you have a doll that American Girl currently sells, like, you know, if I were to brush 55's hair to death and ruin it, and I try to send her to the hospital, they'll just give me an entirely new 55, from what I've heard from people, because the doll is still available, so you won't have to wait like a month for your doll to come back from the hospital. I'm sure if you be stubborn about it and you're like, oh, I really want my doll to go to the hospital, I don't want a new one, then they might let you, but do not quote me on that. Only straighten your doll's hair if you know how. So, you know, if you've never done it before and you're a little bit scared to, I guess I would just leave it be. But when you are straightening their hair, you want to make sure that their hair is sopping wet. I use a wet to dry straightener just because, you know, it's made for wet hair. Unlike my other one, where I almost ruined it because of the water, so much water. So I would get a wet to dry, unless if you know that your straightener can handle water. If you straighten it wrong, it will melt your doll's hair. Now, this is actually true because I have done it before. I did it with Nikki. I don't know if that was her old head or her current head, but I straightened her hair and I didn't get the ends wet on one of the pieces, so the ends ended up singeing up, and then they were like crispy hard, and so I had to cut them off. So if you do burn your doll's hair, there's no way to fix that. I'm sorry, there's just not. You can't just straighten it again because that won't fix anything. I think it'll just, all her hair, all the crispy hair will just fall off. I don't know. So be sure her hair, if you are going to try to straighten, be sure her hair is like sopping wet. Not damp, but sopping wet. Do not use any hair product in your doll's hair, so like mousse or, you know, hairspray, stuff like that. It'll just make their hair greasy and disgusting, and, you know, you'll have to try and wash it all out, but it might not work. I don't know, I've never tried it, so I'm not even gonna go try it. So yeah, just don't use any of your hair products in your hair, in their hair. So like I said, hairspray, mousse, I think some people use braid spray. I think that has to be for wigs though. I'm not sure. But people have used like braid spray and stuff for, I think someone told me that they use that for Mia's braid or Grace's braid or something like that. So it kept it nicer longer. But I don't know if that has to be for wigs. Please don't leave any certain hairstyles in for too long because it causes crimps and can cause frizziness as well. Depending on the hairstyle that you do, it can cause frizziness. So I'm trying to think about hairstyles because like if you pin curl a straight doll's hair and you don't lay down their ends completely over your curler, you know, the ends will start sticking up and then they'll get bent all certain ways and it'll look terrible when you take it down. So if you are doing your doll's hair, please use either these rubber band type things. I know it's clear so you can't really see it, or these cloth ones. Don't use the ones with the metal pieces on it because the doll's hair will get caught in it and it'll get pulled out and it's just not ideal. So just these hair ties are only necessary. And you know, it doesn't have to be like this cloth kind, but it can also be the, let me see if I have one, like these nylon type ones, you know, with like the glue on the seam instead of the metal part. Those are fine too. Okay, so in doing anything with water, you want to try not to get water in their eyes because there is a metal part to their eye on the inside, so you can't really see it on the outside unless if you really look, you know, like on the sides of her eyes. You can see like a little shiny piece in there. That is the metal. So if you get water in their eyes, it can rust it. I mean, it will probably, the water will have to sit in her eyes for so long before, you know, it actually rusts. But if you get the water out right away, it should be totally fine. But, you know, if you just leave water sit in her eyes, the eyes will rust over time. But I don't think I've ever come across anyone that's ever had this problem with their doll's eyes actually rusting. So I don't know if that's actually like a real thing or if it just hasn't happened yet or I haven't heard of it yet, you know. If your doll has dirt on her skin, so aka vinyl, which is their plastic arms and their plastic face and their plastic legs. Vinyl is, I think, a form of plastic. I have always used Mr. Magic erasers because it is easier and not as messy. By the way, her shirt is from American Girl. It's from the satin floral pajamas, and then her skirt is from Mia's collection. It's like her 2-in-1 skate set. I don't even know. So bad with names of things now. So yeah, Magic Eraser is so much easier and not as messy as baking soda and water paste. So basically you just mix water in with baking soda until it makes a paste, and then you take, you know, like a washcloth, stick it in the paste, and then just kind of like scrub at their skin. It is way messy, so if you want to do it outside, that's great. But if you can't, just go in like an area that has hardwood flooring or something, you know, like vinyl flooring, hardwood, linoleum, you know, whatever. So you can easily vacuum up the crumbs on the floor from the dried, crusty baking soda after you clean your doll's skin. And then you just wipe their vinyl after you're done. Well, even this works with both the Magic Eraser and baking soda. Just be careful around their eyes, their eyebrows, lips, because the Magic Eraser will take off their facial makeup. I haven't had an issue with baking soda and water. I think it's actually safe to use on their eyebrows because I had this Marie Grace doll that I got and fixed up and like resold because she was in like the worst condition ever, and she had this black mark on her eyebrow, and so I used a Magic Eraser and noticed that the eyebrow was starting to come off. So I was like, okay, I gotta stop, otherwise it'll take her whole entire eyebrow off. So I went downstairs, made some baking soda paste, and then scrubbed at it, and it was perfectly fine. But it was gone after like 2 scrubs. I don't know how many times you have to scrub it for it to come off, but just make sure you're watching what you're doing as you're scrubbing. I would just be careful with baking soda on her face, because if you get it in like their nose holes or like their little cracks and crevices or in their mouth, you know, it's going to be harder to get out. I have gotten him a new head since then, so he used to not have lip color, if you guys remember that. So it was just like the same color as his skin. I used a magic eraser on his face when I first got him, just, you know, to see how dirty he was. It's actually my dirtiest doll ever, which is disgusting. So I used a magic eraser on his face, went over his lips once. Not even that hard. It was like super gentle, and his lip color came off. Like, what? I've never had that happen to any of my other dolls that I've cleaned them with a magic eraser, and his lips come off like the first swipe of the magic eraser. So I would be very careful of those Marie Grace dolls, or any doll. If they have a mark on their lip, you just might have to leave it there. You can try the baking soda, just be very careful not to get it in their mouth. If their cloth body is dirty, which is this is their cloth body starting up here, you know, the squishy part. If it's dirty, remove their head and the stuffing and wash with soap and water in the sink. You can leave their limbs on, but it might just be best to take them off because, you know, water can get inside them. Or, you know, when you're done cleaning the doll, you can just hang them to dry upside down so that the water kind of like drains out of their limbs. I don't know what kind of soap because I've never had to wash my doll's body, but, you know, maybe just like maybe you could use like a detergent of some kind that without dyes. So, you know, if it's a blue color, try not to use that on her. So use like a clear detergent maybe. Make sure to just make sure that she's 100% dry, so, you know, like the fabric. And if you don't take the limbs off, just make sure it's dry on the inside before you put your doll back together, because if they're still wet, it might cause mold or mildew, and I don't know about you, but that's disgusting, and I don't want that in my dolls. If you are going to put dark clothing on your doll, just keep in mind that the dyes from the clothes can stain your doll's vinyl. I've had this happen plenty of times in the past where clothing has stained my dolls. I've seen it so many times, and it's just so frustrating, and it's hard to even keep it from happening because it's just one of those things that's not really preventable. Actually, quite a few of these things happened with American Girl clothes, so I think if something from American Girl stains your doll, you can send them to the hospital for free. I don't know how they would know that because, you know, you could just say it's from, you know, Mia's skirt or the denim jeans that you buy at the store when it was really something else. I don't know how they would know that, but I guess they would in a way. I don't know. So one of the culprit American Girl sets that I've heard of recently, and I have a picture of it on my phone here, is Samantha's holiday set. I'll show you. And I'll show you which piece is the culprit here in this issue. And I think the culprit is the black velvet boots. So I've heard that's the culprit of that most recent one that I've heard of. I'm not sure if you have to have the tights on with the boots or if it's just the boots themselves. I really don't know. But if you have that set, just be very careful with those boots. If you have it on a doll right now, I'd recommend taking them off immediately. Because literally, people on Instagram that did share, they had it on their doll's feet and it looked like someone colored on her feet with Sharpie. That's how bad it was. So I've actually had a couple pieces that have stained my dolls, and I'll pull them out. So this is one of the pieces that have stained my dolls. This is from Buzz & Bee on Etsy. It stained Alina. It's all over her arms. I almost have all the stains out, but I just need it to be sunny again, and it's raining. This is another one. It's also from Buzz & Bee. It's like the 3/4 sleeve top. I had this on Rebecca, and it stained her arms a little bit. Not too bad, but I had it on her just long enough for it to stain her. So I have like a bunch of clothes over here that are dark from a bunch of different Etsy shops. I think, do I even have anything in here from American Girl? I don't think so. I think it's all Etsy. So basically all of the dark colored stuff I have here, and I'm going to wash it. This is just because it's dirty, but I'm not going to wash that with the dark stuff because it'll probably turn it gray or something. So please do not leave dark colored stuff on them for a long period of time. Even if you do leave it on them, I would try to take it off as soon as possible. And if you're busy like me and you have no time to change your dolls, just leave them half naked. I mean, to get the ink stains off, I think I have a video on that too, but you just use benzoyl peroxide or anything with benzoyl peroxide in it. So this is the acne cream that I actually use, but I don't use this on my dolls because it's only 2.5% benzoyl peroxide, if I can show you. It's right there. It says 2.5. I have one that's 10%, which is way better. I would show you their stains, but I don't think you can see them anyway because they're kind of all faded now. But just don't leave dark stuff on your dolls. Okay, this one should be very obvious, but do not put makeup, any kind of makeup on your doll, unless, you know, they don't have any more coloring on their face and you want to add more cheek color or something. That's fine, but other than that, you shouldn't put makeup on them. Yeah, because it most likely will be very hard to get off. And just don't put any chemical on your doll. So I don't know what chemical people would put on their doll, but you never know. Try your hardest not to draw on them with anything. But if you want to do, I've used, you know, watercolor paints. I think it was on McKenna. I should actually like look at her to see if she still has it, but I did like a blue flower on her cheek, and the blue color actually like stayed on her vinyl for a little while. Yeah, if you're gonna do watercolor paints, just, you know, paint on them and then remove it ASAP. Don't leave it on for like ever and ever, because it will most likely stain them and it'll be hard to get off. This one's kind of a no-brainer as well, but I feel like I have to tell you. Don't leave your dolls sitting for long periods of time. If I have dolls that are sitting, I try to switch them out with ones that are standing, just to kind of switch things up and not have them sit all the time, because the elastic in their legs, again, I'm so sorry about my voice, it sounds terrible. The elastic in their legs will stretch out if you leave them sit for a long period of time, and you don't want them, and then their legs will become loose over time, as hers is still pretty tight. I got her like almost 2 years ago. So just make sure they're standing. Stand them whenever you can. But if you do have dolls that are sitting, just switch it out. Switch them out with a doll that is standing. So like right now, Summer's sitting, so I could replace or like swap Colette and have her sit and have Summer stand. Which Summer's my 61, by the way, if you didn't know. I think that is it for this video. If you have any questions about them, I can try to answer them for you. Like questions about dolls in general, or like, you know, how else to care for them. But this is pretty much all that I came up with. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you. If it did, please comment and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye! Bye!